This is the Inquisitive Minds Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Inquisitive Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Smith. With me today is a pastor, a disability rights advocate, and a stand-up comic. From pastoring churches, protesting in Washington, D.C. for disability rights, and doing comedy for 15 years, he has lived a remarkable life, even though doctors said being born with cerebral palsy meant he would not do much living with his disability. He is living proof on why we can't live by the labels others try to stick on us. Mike Matthews, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
I'm excited to have you. You got a very interesting life already from the bio.
Yes. I don't have any pictures of statues made out of body fluids like Alyssa did, but I'm excited to be here.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about cerebral palsy?
Yeah, it is. I was born with it. It happens at birth. I was too big, came out the wrong way. So for a couple of seconds, I wore my mom as a hat. So that's what happened. I couldn't breathe at birth, and it's all over the spectrum. People can have it mild like I do, where it doesn't affect your brain at all. And then there's people who are, have to live in a wheelchair from birth. So that's never been my story. So I'm blessed to only be a little gimpy, I guess. I get to park up front and still look good. I'm humble too, by the way.
Okay, Mike. I love it.
Yeah.
So when did you get into becoming a pastor?
23 years old.
23 years old. Can you tell me how your journy up to that led you to that?
I didn't grow up in church. I didn't want nothing to do with it. I totally understand why people want nothing to do with it. My early age was my mom took me to a faith healer when I was 8 or 9. They promised the church that they were going to heal the cripple boy of a crippled demon.
Is that where they slap you on the
head?
head?
They hit me. I didn't go down because palsy don't crack. Palsy don't crack. So she hit me. The woman hit me, and I didn't go down. So she hooked my leg. She tripped me. So I fell down. And I got back up. And at 8 years old, I said, "What the hell?" And she goes, "I healed him spiritually." I was like, "I guess I missed the fine print on that prayer because you said I was going to be healed."
Oh, wow.
So from that moment, I didn't want nothing to do with religion. I was a staunch agnostic all through my teenage years, debate Christians. I grew up in the 90s, so Christians were still the cool kids, I guess, at school. But I don't know. Later at 19, I came to faith, as they say, and I never looked back. And then 21, 22, I wanted to help young people.
Real quick, what happened when you were 19 that brought you to the faith?
So my whole teenage years, I didn't think Christianity wanted anything to do with people like me. I heard Sunday school teachers and that faith healer experience. I didn't grow up with a biological father. So now I'm being told his heavenly father don't want nothing to do with my butt. But reading the Bible and I just found out that's not Jesus at all. And he uses imperfect people. So I was saved through reading that God uses broken people like me. And trust me, when people see me, they assume all kinds of things. They just think cerebral palsy is my only issue. They don't know I come from, a broken home and raised by my grandparents and didn't have a dad growing up and stuff like that. So the true biblical faith that we don't always see in the church, I get that. But that's what saved me, is to know that God loves people like me.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
So you're 22. You want to help people, help young people.
Yeah, I mean, none of my youth groups that I ever had were like what's called churched kids. They were all like unchurched, outside the faith. The only time they came to church was on Wednesday nights. And that's how my ministry started. I started doing youth group, then the Washington City Mission that does homeless and recovery supports. I started teaching there, preaching there, and I did that for 15 years while being a youth pastor. And I always said I was a backup quarterback of preachers because I got to preach when someone took a day off. So I did that for about 10 years, and then in 2016 I became a lead pastor of a small country church. During that time, I'm doing ministry. I started doing comedy in 2009. So I got into the game late, but my first love was always like I came to know George Carlin before Jesus. So I grew up on comedy.
I think quite a few of us did.
Yeah. So I grew up on comedy with my grandfather. It's how we bonded. I probably was a little bit too young to be watching Def Comedy Jam, but I was. Mm-hmm. They were all seeing Dave Chappelle at 19 and all that. I fell in love with comedy, so I always wanted to do it. But then I got into religion in that circle. I didn't really know what to do. So my first ever show was at the Pittsburgh Improv.
Oh, that's an ongoing theme of Pittsburgh comedians.
Yeah, and what was hilarious about it was I was working at a civil rights organization at the time with disabled people, and all my coworkers were disabled. We brought our handicap accessible buses. I had a fan group that came. So all the other comics didn't know what the hell was going on. They were like, "Well, all these disabled people outside." They probably thought they were getting protested, but they were there to see me, and it was cool because I got to meet a very young Terry Jones.
Okay, shout out to Terry Jones.
Yeah, he was the host. He kind of got me back into comedy when we met. Okay. Back in 2021, he kind of told me about some shows and that. So I stayed in contact with him. But I did comedy from 2009 to 2016, and then I became a pastor. And I took a 5.5, 6 year break because I didn't have the time. I was a dad trying to provide for. I was working full time, pastoring full time. I was in college full time, so I had a lot of stuff. But
life is busy.
Yeah.
Life is busy.
Yeah.
Now, I asked you briefly before the show, you said you're non-denominational now.
Yes.
Can you tell us about your different journeys through the churches?
Oh, yeah. I like to call myself Pentabaptist or Baptist-Costal because even though I grew up, my uncle, who also had a disability, he made me go to a very Pentecostal church. And being two disabled guys in a Pentecostal church, you can imagine how many times people tried to heal us.
Okay.
Their faith must not have been. It's not our fault because
their faith wasn't strong
in the
enough.
Bible, that guy got healed by the faith of his friends. Maybe it's y'all fault. I need better friends.
Okay.
I'm not healed not because of me, but because of you guys. You guys got to pray harder. So I grew up Pentecostal, seeing people flopping on the ground and looking more nuts than me.
What is that, like the holy rolling?
Yeah,
or
slaying in the
Holy
Spirit,
or
slaying in the Spirit, speaking in tongues. Someone was I remember when I was 16, the guy goes, "Hey, brother Mike, do you speak in tongues?" I said, "I have cerebral palsy. I need help with English." Can you imagine if I spoke in tongues? People would just think I'm having a fit. So no.
Okay.
So, grew up Pentecostal.
Real quick, because I want to touch on more of this, when people were in the Spirit or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious about it, respectfully.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that? I don't know how else to phrase it.
Okay, you're talking to a former Baptist pastor, so I think it's all garbage. But I'm just being, okay, so, because there's nothing in the Bible that people are acting that way. In the Bible, those who act that way have demons.
Okay.
So, slain in the spirit, okay, I'm trying to be respectful because I preach in a lot of different type of denominations, so I probably got uninvited by saying that, but that's okay. What they believe is they believe that the God spirit is so powerful in them that they can control their body. But nowhere in the Bible does God make you bark like a dog, or act like you're having a seizure. But I've seen. So I grew up in that. So when I became in my early 20s and I would minister, like, non-denominational churches are like Baptist light.
Okay.
So started going to a church. They didn't do that. I'm used to, like, people. Now, let me tell you, the one thing that I love about Pentecostal churches is they do want to experience God. They want to experience God. Like, when you go to, like, a conservative church, it's like they care about. They want truth. They want to live by the Bible, but it's like no expression of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's very, like, button up, matter of fact, like, so I see good in both type of settings, but I also have friends that grew up all in on Pentecostal and now they're agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of stuff can lead you all kind. I mean, I get why people are they don't want to rock with the church. I get it.
You said when you were agnostic as a youngster, you were openly debating
All
with
the time.
Christians.
All the time.
As a
I was a jerk.
as a Christian pastor, have you had debates with other religious leaders or followers?
all the time.
And
Yeah.
not of the faith of, like, other religions.
Oh yeah. When I was one of the coolest conversations I ever had when I was a disability rights advocate, going to Washington D.C. I met all kind of people with disabilities from all kind of backgrounds, and one of my deepest conversations was with a other advocate that was a Muslim, and we had a lot of common ground. I mean, the biblical faith are all from the same neighborhood. So we have a lot of common ground with the Abraham and Noah and all those religions. And also Islam has opinion about who Jesus is. We just disagree on who that is. So I had better healthy debates with other religions than I have with Christians, because Christians, we like to shoot our own. Like, if you don't believe exactly how I believe, you're not a Christian. I can't tell you how many times my social media is blown up because I make fun of people who are rapture obsessed.
Yeah. I've seen your memes and stuff. It's very funny. Your page. Why don't you shout out your page real quick? Is it still the same? Limping with Jesus.
Yeah, Limping for Jesus. Yeah, that's my ministry page. What my wife and I are trying to do with it is we know that there's people who might be done with church, but they're not giving up on faith. Mm-hmm. And then also I'm trying to have a conversation with Christians and non-Christians, or people who are even deconstructing their faith, on life is hard. We know life is hard. I'm living proof that just because you have faith doesn't mean it's all good all the time. Mm-hmm. But I hope that through Limping for Jesus, that people can hold on to their faith if they choose to, and not give up. Because, I have a tattoo on my arm that says, I got in 21, that says never give up, because that's been my life motto. Mm-hmm. And I want to help people not give up on their faith. And also through that, I train churches through Limping for Jesus how to love on people with disabilities. And I train staffs. And stuff like that.
Now, does some of this stem from a previous bad experience with the church?
Yeah, I mean, I've been. People share their stories with me, and let me tell you, as a pastor living with a visible disability in the church, I can't tell you how many times people have tried to heal me, or they see me speak somewhere. And they blow up my inbox saying, "I need more I need more faith to be healed." A couple of years ago, I spoke at a Christian high school, and the principal for years got fixated on me. Couldn't stop. Like, you're keeping your son from having a full dad, saying all kind of whack stuff to me.
Because you didn't have enough faith?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is absurd.
Yeah, I know. True faith is when God tells you no, you still say, "I'm rocking with you, God." That's true faith. Like, the fact that God hasn't healed me, and I don't want to turn this into Mike's preaching hour, but the fact that he hasn't healed me, and I still say God is real, that's true faith. It's not all what Joel Osteen will want is come to Jesus and you get that book deal or the BMW or the big mansion. That's not true faith. Anyone will rock with Jesus then.
Yeah.
So
If Jesus was just handing out Lambos every day.
I'll be all for that. I mean,
I'm like, JC, what's up, buddy?
yeah, give me a Lambo.
Vroom, vroom.
Yeah, I'm not asking for Joel Osteen money. I just want a Toyota Camry money or.
Yeah.
I
got a Honda Civic. Let me just get a newer Honda
Yeah,
Civic.
that's all I want, Jesus. I once asked my church for a raise, and they said, "Well, it's God's job to keep you humble, and it's our job to keep you poor."
Oh, my.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have no idea how this works. Like, did you go to seminary school?
Yeah, I started doing ministry before I went back to Bible college. I got ordained in 2010, but I went back to, and I didn't have to do this, but I wanted to know more. I wanted to become a better pastoral counselor, so I went back to school in 2014 and got my bachelor's in a degree called Leadership in Ministry. So it was a degree that would help me lead a church, counsel people through all kinds of stuff, like just how we took like therapy practices. Like, I learned theology, I learned everything that you need to know how to be a pastor, but my school had a mindset of we want to prepare you to work inside or outside the church.
Okay, I like that approach. So you're the lead pastor of the church right now?
I was for 5.5 years.
Okay.
And then a little thing called divorce happened. And I don't know if you know how Christians act when the pastor proved to not be perfect, but not a lot of churches are okay with divorce.
I can understand that. I can sit here and say I successfully completed a marriage. That's a dead wife joke again.
Yeah, I knew that joke, but I didn't.
So when you are the head of the church, you get paid a salary?
Yeah, I got paid. I got paid a salary, and then part of that salary, I didn't get paid a lot because part of that was living in the house owned by the church, and that's called a parsonage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a nice place? Like, what are we talking?
It was. It was a normal home. I pastored a church in a small country town in Washington County. So my son swore that it was haunted, but I can get into that later. But yeah, it was a nice house.
But you didn't have to pay rent or
I didn't have to pay rent or anything. No.
Oh, okay.
No, we had to pay for things like if we wanted internet and stuff like that, and that's what we did. The church couldn't really afford high speed internet and stuff like that. So we did it as a family to help the church.
Now, outside of preaching on Sunday, what else is the duties of a pastor? What are your hours throughout the week?
It's Greek. Pastoring could be 8 hours, 14 hours, 20 hours. When I got hired, in 2016, a day after they voted me in. And here's what's cool about it. Back then, their bylaw said to be voted in as pastor, I needed 80% of the vote. In the first time in the church history, I got 100% of the vote.
Oh, wow.
And I also got 100% on the way out. So I completed that journey too. I came in with 100% approval and I left with 100% disapproval. So no, I joke. I don't want to upset that church, but so I got voted in, and then two of the people that were lifelong members, they were a couple, and they were older, and they both got hurt on the same day. So I spent my first 4 days as pastor staying in the hospital with them and visiting them, and I did a lot of hospital visitations, hospice. One of my coolest memories is I did a wedding. At the bedside of the groom's mom that was passing away, and it was funny because the bride was late. And the mom joked and said, she better get here. I'm on a fixed time schedule. So she actually, we did a wedding. WPXI was there. They covered it a couple of years ago. And then later on, the mom passed like 4 days later. But she got to see her son get married. I did a lot of counseling, one-on-one, marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling. And I always knew when I did a wedding, when the couple wasn't going to make it, is at the cake ceremony. I'm not batting 1,000 anymore on my weddings. Some of my couples are divorced, but I can tell you how they treated each other at the cake ceremony says a lot. So the ones who like just went to town and smashed a cake in their face or whatever, I can tell you, they're not together anymore.
Okay.
But I did a lot. Pastoring the church through a pandemic. I had senior pastors calling me saying, "How are we going to handle this?" I'm like a 34-year-old pastor, 35-year-old pastor. I was like, I want to know what you want to do. Like I never I was a new pastor, and then a world pandemic happened, 3 or 4 years into myself being a pastor, you couldn't make anyone happy. Some people were mad at me shut down because I had a lot of elderly population in my church. So I shut the church down for like 5 months and just did online sermons. And then, people were mad when we opened up. So I learned you can't make it. Being a pastor, you can't make everyone happy.
I tell you what, I'm thoroughly enjoying this, and I know some people are going to be like, why is he asking that? But some of these questions are just for me. So
yeah.
Tell me about sermon preparation. How long did that take? Did you have a theme going?
So I'm the type of preacher that did verse by verse. So I would pick a book of the Bible, and I would just preach verse by verse. How many times it would take, how long it took me to get through a book. Some books are shorter, but there's some times where I preached through a book of the Bible for like a year and a half, 2 years, because I'm not topical preaching. I don't know. You can make the Bible say whatever you want, but I always tried to teach the Bible in its original context, like. How did a first century Jewish Christian understand this text? And that's what I always tried to do. And then apply it to modern day life, because the Bible is for us, but it's not to us. It's a Middle Eastern book written to Middle Eastern people, and it's not about America.
Mike, say that again. Say that phrase again.
It's a Middle Eastern book.
The whole thing from the beginning. The Bible is for us, not to us.
The Bible is for us, but not to us. It's a Middle Eastern book to Middle Eastern people, and it's not about America. I know Christian naturalists loves to see a verse like with an eagle in it. Like, see, It's about Donald Trump. He's our Messiah. Nah, it's not about us, guys. We're on the sidelines.
I'm glad to hear it be put that way.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now,
Just been uninvited to about 40 churches. Okay.
make America Christian again.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, a couple years ago, I was so ticked off there was a local pastor that put vote Trump up on his church, and he told his people, if you don't vote for Trump, you're not a good Christian.
That's such hard stances.
Yeah, and me, on the other hand, our church, our fellowship hall was a polling place, and I'm stealing signs off our land and put it on the public because I didn't want people to think whether you're Republican or Democrat, we had a stance.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pulpit is not for politics. Because the moment a pastor lets you know how they vote, they alienate so many people sitting there, and I never wanted to do that.
I mean, that's a good stance to have.
I never wanted to do that.
Now, Mike, let's get into some fun stuff here.
Okay.
You said you've had some paranormal experiences.
Yes. Yeah, and I was very skeptic up until 2018 I know a pastor. I believe in the guy that rose from the grave, but I was very, like I told you, going from Pentecostalism to more conservative Christianity, ghost hunting is not in the job description of a Baptist pastor.
Okay, let me stop you right there. Being a pastor, before 2018, you were skeptical of the paranormal.
Yeah.
What were your stance on things such as demons then?
Well, I believe in demonic activity, but I never experienced demon possession, hauntings. But after 2018, the things I saw, the things I experienced, I couldn't deny
Mike,
it.
I'm on the edge of my seat to hear about 2018.
Okay, so
start from the beginning.
So, 2018, and I'm not gonna give the names of the family, but they trusted me. They called me in. Their daughter was like 6 at the time. She was being pulled out of her bed by 2 shadow men every night. They were pulling out of the bed. They were leaving scratch marks on her, and her mom didn't know who to call, but she trusted me and she called me. And I remember talking to my wife at the time saying, I'm going to go up to so-and-so's house. There's some demonic activity. Now, me and my first wife, we both grew up in a Pentecostal environment, and then I pastored in a more conservative setting. So I didn't tell anyone. Because before, I counted all this mental illness because my mom had mental illness growing up. She taught to things and talked to angels and demons, and I just thought it was all mental illness. So I go up to the house, and this is in the morning. Demons and that don't have a time card. They don't care what day it is or what. They don't only come out at night.
Okay.
But I wanted to make sure the little girl wasn't there because I didn't want her influenced by the things she heard and saw. So I waited until she was in school. So I go in and I do what I'm trained to do. I anoint the home. I pray over the family. I anoint her room, and I leave. I'm like, okay. I made them feel good.
Problem solved.
I made them feel good. I get a call that night, and one of the shadow people came and told the girl, "We don't like when that pastor's here because we can't do anything to you."
That's scary.
And the shadow person said, "We're not strong enough to both come back." The woman, the girl didn't know I was there. So she can't be making this up.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back up there and prayed over her, taught her some Bible verses to say if she's ever visited again. And nothing happened, but couple months later, I'm at home.
So after you did that night, she was good.
She was good.
Okay. This episode has been sponsored by Goat Grinder. Right now, go to goatgrinder.com, enter in IM20 to get 20% off your order.
All right, hey everybody. My name's Ron. I'm the owner of Goat Grinder, and this is the Inquisitive Minds podcast. We're sponsoring this forever now. We're going to give Johnny $1 million, so everybody watch this. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, so it's grinder, sifter in a mason jar. This is your pressure band, keeps it all together. It's your top grinder, bottom grinder. When you're ready to grind up, slip it on there, give it a snug, throw in, I don't know, whatever you want, and then off center post, so you don't smash everything in the middle, and then all your junk will fall into this handy dandy sifter, and then everything else will fall in here. I use it to make relish. So what happens is when I grind up all you get all your pickle stuff in here, but then you don't have to have a fucking juicy hot dog. You dump out that extra sauce. And they do fit on larger regular mouth mason jars. I would sell them for $75. Someday I'll raise the price, but for now they're $75. I started out at $90, and then I came down. I should have stayed at fucking $90. I don't know why I'm giving everybody a break.
She was good. Couple months later, I'm having Bible study at my house, in the church's house. A shadow comes walking through our Bible study, and we're all like, what's going on? Like, I'm hoping we're not having like a mass hysteria.
Yeah.
But it was a shadow person. Shoots up the steps. Me and my friend and her husband were like, she goes, that was a shadow person. We look up the steps. We see a dark body, feet, and then the face is like a white face from if you've seen this scary movie, it was on Netflix, Haunting of Hill House, where
It's been a while.
Okay, that woman had like a big smile like the Joker.
Okay.
That's what we saw.
Jesus.
And then it starts talking to us. First, my friend's hearing it in her mind, and it's saying that we were sitting here because Mike Stoney, pastor in town, that believes we exist. And we were sitting here, I'm going to sound crazy saying this, we were sitting here to discredit his ministry because he knows about us. And then all of a sudden, another shadow comes up, and here's how you know is, like, my friend didn't have no clue what was going on in my marriage at the time. Nothing. This demon told her about what happened in our marriage at the end. Our last argument, where I was standing, where my wife was sitting. All
Really?
that. Yeah. My friend didn't know not any of this. So we put this thing on trial. When you see a demon, I might not get hired by
Mike, no, this is phenomenal.
Okay. So when we put this thing on trial,
What does that mean, you put it on trial?
we told them, in the name of Jesus Christ, you have to answer us truthfully. Because demons will lie to you. They won't give you their name. They won't tell you anything. But
Shit, a demon gave me wrong directions last week. It was crazy.
yeah. So yeah, Alyssa was cracking me up about her encounters, but I have a couple of encounters about a baby too. But so we put this thing on trial. We say, in the name of Jesus, you have to answer us. You have to leave this house. You can't come back anymore. You have to tell us. And I can't remember this demon's name, but it was it sounded like a Latin name. And so what I do, if a demon doesn't give me a name, I assign a name to him. I'm like, well, from now on, you're going to answer to the name of Fred, Bob, Frank. I don't care.
Okay.
But so we put this demon on trial. We see it get like sucked out the window. It gets sucked out the window. And then we look out the window and there's 5 more shadow figures across the street. Now, this happened to me in like a 7-month period. So I went from being skeptical
Yeah.
to being and I'm not listen guys, I'm not blaming my first marriage ending on because of demons. I'm not. Because I'm trying to keep my child custody. But what I'm saying is this experience happened and I didn't believe this stuff happened. You know, I was very thought a lot of it was mental health issues. I come to learn that it can be both because demons love attacking people with mental illness because they know they're going to be written off. So I had that experience. And so from 2018 to now, I've been helping families deal with hauntings and different things like that. One time.
Real quick.
Okay.
When they said about to discredit you, was there more instances where like your credibility was questioned because of something like that during that time?
No, but my ministry was always under attack. Like people, I had a guy one time stand up and say, he can't be a pastor. He's a crippled and he wears jeans.
You heathen.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't change both about that because how I'm dressed now. I rock a hoodie and Adidas pants when I preach. Because I want people to know that it's about your heart, not what's on the outside. Mm-hmm. But I didn't tell any other pastor in town because I knew how I told one pastor about what was going on, but I knew I was going to sound crazy. I'm like, the Bible is a very supernatural book. We believe in the guy that rose from the grave. You can believe that, but you can't believe demons are still messing with people.
That's a good point.
So I don't want to sound crazy. I know that sounds crazy, but right now we're gonna get hired. Okay, so but it's true. So after that incident, after seeing that, my friend and I started. I don't know why, but I started getting more calls. People were wanting help. One time before a comedy show I actually did with you back in 21, I was on my way to the show and got a call from one of my old youth group students. Her husband was being attacked by a shadow that was saying that it was his dad, and there were scratch marks on the crib. The baby was getting messed with. They had a TV that got slammed against the wall. I came there, and I'm like during my thing, I'm anointing stuff, and then in the corner of the living room, I see a shadow squatting down on a chair, and I saw red eyes. And and demons like to pretend to be people we know or humans. And I don't know how I knew this, but I said to the guy, because he was distressed, I was like, "Do you have something here of your dad's?" And he's like, "Yeah, we have our urn." The demon was sitting under the urn. And I said, "You got to get rid of it." I said, you got to get rid of this urn. You get rid of his ashes because he had a horrible relationship with his dad. And the demons have been around forever. So they watch us. They know our life story. They know what makes us tick. They know what tempts us. They know they are the best students of human behavior. So I said, you got to get rid of that thing. You got to get rid of that thing. And there was another time where I was helping a family.
Hold on.
Okay.
Did he get rid of it?
No, I don't think.
So he kept dealing with the bullshit?
I think he did, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to have
Because
some closure.
it was giving his wife demonic dreams. It was I mean, it's activity lowered after I helped them, but see what scares people is when I help people, I start to get attacked myself. Like I've been after helping families, I woke up with scratch marks on my chest. I have woken up with something sitting on me and then disappear. More activity happens at my house because, Alyssa was cracking me up last week on the podcast when she was like, I wanted a souvenir or something. You can get one.
Yeah.
And it's a demon. So her story, I had a similar story like hers, where a baby was being messed with. One of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. My friend's son was down in the basement. Took a Polaroid. Not a Polaroid. Kids don't use Polaroid. Took a picture. I just aged myself. Took a picture with his iPhone. Hello, 2022. So he took a picture of himself playing a game. Behind him was a woman hovering over him, white face, white dress, long black hair, and he could see it. I could see it in the picture, but his grandma couldn't see it. She thought we were lying. I said, she's right there above him, hovering over him.
And what do you attribute that to?
I think people have what the Bible calls the gift of distinguishing between the spirits. Like I think people have the gift to know it's something demonic or not, and they can see things.
And you're saying she didn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we all get. I can go down a rabbit hole on that, but I believe that, and I gotta be honest, I can sense things, I can see things, but it seems like when I'm with someone with that gift, that really has that gift, that intensifies in me. But I mean, my friend has been haunted by things her whole life, but in this case, after seeing that picture, we went down in the basement, and spirits can pretend to be anything. They can change from a woman, a little boy. Sometimes one spirit will act like a good spirit, and one spirit will act like a bad spirit, but they're really working together. That case went down in the basement. Saw this thing in the corner of a laundry room. She was just standing there, and I had those moments where I know I'm the pastor, but I'm really trying not to poop my pants right now, because here's a full body. It's not a shadow. It's really there, and we got that thing to leave. I did what I did. I got more training from a pastor that done it. Got taught about how to put things on trial.
Did you get any information out of that one?
That thing was scary, bro. It's like its mouth kept drooping, getting wider, like you see on like The Ring. And here's the thing: I think what demons do is they know what scares us. They know what we have seen, and I think a lot of times they pretend to be things that we know that scares us. Like, I hate clowns. I hate that Joker mouth. Like, those are the things. Like, two people could be looking at something and seeing something different.
Yeah.
But this time, we saw this woman in a long white dress, black hair, white face, and we got that thing out.
Okay.
We turn around, and there's a little boy. And the daughter told me that was the good spirit. When we turn around and see this little boy, the moment we cast this thing out of the house, it turns into a shadow
Mm.
because they have to take their real form. When you put it on trial, they have to take their real form. This little boy was, when I first saw him, he giggled. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, looked like he was in like overalls, like a train hat, like from the 1920s.
Okay.
The moment we turn around, I first see this thing run across the hallway like it's Chucky,
Oh.
and I was scared out of my mind. The moment we turned back around, it turned into a shadow, and I was creeped out. And that's when I learned that they often will tag team you and pretend to be different things.
Mm-hmm.
And as and they moved out of the house. They got a new, but that house, when you rolled up on this house, it had some dark energy. Like it just, you felt like you were being watched.
And Mike, these demons that are doing this, what is it that they want?
Well, okay, so I'll give you my best biblical idea. They want to be embodied because they're.
Does that mean take over the body?
Yeah, they want a body. They want a place of residence. So depending on your background and how you interpret Genesis 6, so in Genesis 6, angels see human women are hot. They have sex with them. They have offspring that are half human, half angelic, and they're called the Nephilim. Okay, I don't know if you ever went down that conspiracy. Okay, so what a lot of people believe is demons are the spirits of those offspring that died in the flood. So from the flood to now, they just want to be embodied, because in the Bible there's, in the unseen realm, there's a hierarchy. It's just not angels and demons. There's other divine beings that God put in charge of the earth, but they rebelled. And in the Bible they're called the sons of God. The sons of God are not human. For years and years, I would, because of my conservative upbringing, I would read Genesis 6 and deny the supernatural verses there. Judaism, they believed, like if you ask an Orthodox Jew, why did God flood the earth? A Christian will tell you because Adam and Eve sinned. But if you talk to an Orthodox practitioner of Judaism, they always thought there was three falls: Adam and Eve, the Tower of Babel, and the angels having sex with humans. They'll say that because you hear a lot of denominations and in Judaism, why did the women cover their heads? Why are there head coverings in the Old Testament? In the New Testament, it tells you so the angels are not aroused. They believe that happened. So that's the take that I learned the last 6 years, that I believe that these demons are the spirit of those Nephilim trying to be embodied again.
Okay, that being said, have you
And I know how crazy that sounds.
Have you dealt with someone who's been possessed?
Yes, I have. It's scary. I always tried to assess that if it's mental illness or not, because you can't tell. Sometimes it could be schizophrenia. It could be anything. But it could be both. You see people who might be 110 pounds and they have super strength, and their voice changes. That's not their voice. I mean, the one case that I really dealt with years ago was a young girl, and she was in her teenage. She was self-harming, cutting, stuff like that. But then, and I gotta be honest, I don't think I was well prepared as a young pastor to deal with this. But we and I'm not an exorcist. I'm not trained in that. But I prayed for her. We sang songs around her. I read the Bible to her. It seemed like after a couple of days, it seemed like she came to peace. She became a Christian years late, like a year later. But it was scary as hell. I mean,
what did you witness when you were down there?
It's the voice that got me. Like she was a young girl. There's no way you can fake this. Her voice was dark, deep, sounded like a dude, but it echoed, and it said, "We are Legion."
Mm-hmm.
So that means she had multiple demons in her, like in the Bible, where it's, when that guy says, when Jesus says, what is your name, and that demon through that guy says, "We are Legion." So that's scary, because when you look up the word Legion in Greek, it can mean like 1,000 soldiers. So you're telling me I'm dealing with 1,000 demons right now? I gotta say, I felt above my pay grade. I mean, I went from being very skeptical to and the thing is, when that happened years before my first demonic experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I dealt with a demonized person before I dealt with like a demon out in the open. But the chair that she was sitting in started to levitate. See, that's how bonkers it is, because I try to rationalize everything. I was still skeptic, but that happened, and I was like, I can't.
That's wild.
I can't. It was like something out of a movie. I was looking for strings. I thought the family, I was like, is Ashton Kutcher here? Am I being punked? Like, I was looking for anything, but she was really sunken in, like her face was sunken in. It had control over her vocal cords. The chair started to levitate. It knew things about me. This girl never met me. So she was like throwing out like accusations about me and stuff, like insecurities and fears, calling me all kind of names that would get the demon canceled now. But like the R word, the hard R word, like get this R word pastor out of here. And it was like a deep, deep, dark voice like you would hear in the movies. But it's not all someone being possessed is not always like The Exorcist. It's not always head spinning and I mean I've been in incidents in a pastor's office, and he talking to someone, and their sound, mind, and body, and then all of a sudden their voice changes, and we pray over them, and they start acting normal again. Like it's not always something out of a movie or throw up being, like Linda Blair. It's not always. It can be like, it can be stuff like self-harming and it can be very subtle. It can be very subtle. Like the choices someone makes, they're self-destructive. The demon's trying to destroy you. I really didn't know this podcast was going to go down this route, but those are the experience I had in the last like 5-6 years of being in full-time ministry.
Now, what is your stance on like, let me see, like ghosts, like dead people?
Okay, so I'm probably gonna people are gonna be divided over this. I know, because I have friends that are ghost hunters. I believe my opinion is I believe they're all demons. I mean, the Bible tells us absent from the body is to be present of the Lord. I don't think that that God would allow human spirit to be stuck here. I think demons pretend to be humans. A couple years ago, me and my son went to a cemetery out in Beaver County, and we had a spirit box, and we were going through the cemetery, and we were getting hits. Like we were like, a voice came through. We were by this marker. We asked this voice, "Tell us when you died." It said a year. It said a date. We were on top of this tombstone. Voices start coming through. Now, people would say that was a human spirit telling me who he was. Who I personally believe that was a demon pretending to be human. That's just from a biblical perspective. Now, I would imagine other Christians disagree with me. I follow a Catholic bishop called James Long on TikTok. He helps with hauntings, and I know he believes the same thing. But I know other people will say that here's the thing. Many years ago, my ex-father-in-law and I, he was a pastor too. A woman was telling us that her grandfather her dead grandfather would come in every night and have a cup of coffee with her. And we told her, man, that's not your grandfather. That's someone. She believed, she got mad, she wanted to punch us. She said, "This is my grandfather." I said, let us come and pray for you. Let us come and pray for you, and then we see what happened. And I know I was a young youth pastor. I didn't know much about anything like this. Never experienced it. After we prayed for her home and that, the things stopped showing up.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
From a pastoral point of view,
Okay.
what are your thoughts on UFOs?
Oh man. See, I'm a sci-fi nerd. I want them to be real.
Okay.
I want them to be real. I so do. I want, like, beam me up. I'm ready to go. Like, not the Hellbuck comment way, but like, take me to a world. Like, my thing is, I have two takes on this. The Bible, to have a biblical worldview, some people would say they're demons pretending to be aliens. Because when you hear about aliens abductions, what does it sound like?
Bad demons.
It sounds like demons. Black eyes, sunken face.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean.
Like if you hear about an alien abduction and you hear about someone that was demon possessed or demonized, the story sounds familiar. So, but the Bible is God's story of interacting with humanity. That's it. We don't know. Like Little Dicky said, why can't Earth be a side project for this guy?
That's okay. That's fair.
But that's just my nerdy like theologian, sci-fi. Like, I mean, it shouldn't change your faith if alien life. Because here's what a lot of people say: the Christian take on it is Jesus came to be the savior of humans. Did he have to go to every other planet and be re-crucified?
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean they're humans on other planets. You know, there could be some other life form.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kind of questions.
Yeah.
My pastoral advice is I just don't know.
Okay.
I mean, the Bible don't tell us. The Bible don't tell us, anything about like planet B94.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's God's letter to humans on how He relates to us. It's the story of human redemption. I don't. I mean, if you believe the Bible is true, I know there are people who don't. Some people believe parts of it is allegory, but my pastoral take is there's nothing in the Bible that would, the worldview of the Bible would allow for aliens. Now, if you watch Ancient Aliens and History Channel, I don't know when the History became Sci-Fi Channel, but they believe a lot of this stuff in the Old Testament, like angels coming and you got the Book of Enoch that's not in the Bible, but a lot of people say it tells you what angels taught humans and all that. There's a lot of people who look at the Bible as proof that ancient aliens contacted humans. and I can say it's just not there in the Hebrew and the Greek. There's, but I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, I grew up on Star Trek. I'm a Star Trek nerd.
That's fair.
I would want it to be true. And then there's people that says, and there's a lot some people that says, well, if those things are real, do they need to be evangelized? Do I need to tell them about space Jesus? Like I don't know. Like there's all these kind of other questions that come up because
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that one.
yeah. So I mean, do they need to know about Jesus too? Martians, or your what would you call people from Uranus? If Uranus had life, does Uranus have life? That's the question. Okay, no.
All right, Mike. I like to ask this just like generally, not for any specific topic, but for someone listening out there. What just a good piece of advice would you have to give them?
Well, if you haven't tuned me out after my rant on demons and the things that I would tell people, I know churches can suck. I know Christianity has given Christianity a bad name, but if you have faith, don't give up on it. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I've been in ministry since my early 20s. I've experienced everything bad about Christianity that you can imagine, and I'm still here to say life can suck, but God is good, and that I'm living proof of what He can do with a life. Like, you know, doctors said I would never walk or talk. And I'm here today as a pastor, disability rights advocate. You know, I have a 13-year-old son.
Stand-up comedian.
Yeah, stand-up comic. I'm hoping to get back out there soon. Kind of took a year and a half off. I know you and I did that roast tour.
That was great.
That roast tour. Kind of had to reassess my comedy when I roasted that deaf comic.
Yeah.
I was like, here I am, a disability rights advocate, and he brought all his deaf friends, and I'm saying horrible things about him. So,
I mean, I
won that match, by the way.
I thought you were a great roaster.
I retired. I mean, my grandfather made me. I mean, he got me prepared. By the time I was ready for elementary school, I heard every kind of diss you could say to me.
See, believe it or not, the last part of that episode, the computer that was plugged in abruptly shut off, and we're gonna blame demons. Thanks for listening.
This is the Inquisitive Minds Podcast.